judge, according to Fox exit polls. And it's interesting that this race at the beginning of the
Hello, everybody. It is 8:37 p.m. Central Time on Tuesday, November 8th, 2016, and I hope you guys are doing good. Welcome into the Earthquake 3D live stream, where we do nightly updates on earthquake activity, in case you haven't figured it out. But, guys, what's going on? Hope you're doing good. Obviously, everybody's preoccupied with a few things that are going on right now here in the United States. Needless to say, I am preoccupied with that. But in the meantime, let's just go ahead and run down something that just happened here in central Oklahoma at the Kansas border. How about a 4.0 earthquake at the fracking operations? Anybody want to take in a 4.0 earthquake? Going once, going twice. Sold to the people in well, I guess that's technically Kansas. Is that Kansas? Yeah, that's Kansas. Sold to the people in Kansas at the Oklahoma border. And let's go ahead and open up a copy of Google Earth. We'll zoom in on this. Now, guys, we talked about this. Over the next several days, we're going to see 4.0 earthquake activity develop out at the Oklahoma-Kansas border, going as far west as Colorado, as far south as Texas. So, to see this, I'm going to go ahead and open up a copy of Google Earth. Let's make sure that's open. Now, let me make sure you guys can see it. That's been a problem lately, so make sure you guys can see it. Good, all right. Now, let's open up the coordinates. This is the way you do it, guys. You open up the coordinates, grab them from the USGS or whatever reporting agency you're using. Then we, of course, just hit copy, go over to Google Earth, paste it in. I use Google Earth for many reasons. One, it's free. Two, you can put your own place marks on it and save it and share it with other people. And three, it's what they use on the news and all the other things. People are familiar with it. Zooming in like this is very friendly to use. So I'm going to go ahead and put a place mark here. And all my place marks, by the way, I've made available to the public. I'll do it again in the next couple of weeks. I'll put out my place marks again so you guys can download them, and then you'll have every little place mark that I've put here. So, M4.0 earthquake, November 8th, 2016. Okay, so what we do after we mark the earthquake, we look nearby to see if there's anything nearby that stands out as could be causing or inducing the earthquake, or at least be playing into it. So just down to the south, and I mean by a few hundred feet, looks like we have a gas well, commonly referred to as an injection well, a frac well. So let's call it frac well, till otherwise proven it could be an oil well. That kind of doesn't matter at this point. We're talking about a drill point where the humans have drilled down into the earth, and that causes a weak spot in the crust. And it looks like we also have one right to the north by a few hundred feet. So we'll do the same thing. We'll mark our nearest frac wells, and I recommend you guys do this for every different large earthquake you see striking out here or swarm. And let's see if we have any others. Do we have any others closer? Doesn't look like we have any others closer. We have some further, like another one right here, and another one here, Now, these could be drilled at an angle by several kilometers as well, so it doesn't just go straight down by several thousand feet. It can go over and down by several thousand feet. So, like for instance, this well here could be drilled laterally down by 1,000 feet, let's say. Well, if it goes down by 1,000 feet and over to the west, you guys can determine your Pythagorean angle on that and figure out that that shaft could come right over towards where our earthquakes is striking now, depending on how far they've drilled down. And of course, if there's another well going at a different angle, those two areas can intersect, and of course we can get a lateral transfer of pressure across an area. It's amazing. So, that all being said, 4.0 earthquake striking here in the Midwest. This again follows our 5 that struck a day ago. Right here, let's get this back on the screen. Our 5 that struck a day and a half, 2 days ago. And we told you guys this was going to be followed by other earthquakes at other areas of noteworthy size going up to 4. Now look where this is in relation to the big earthquake. See the 5 on the screen here? Now see where the 4 struck. About 100-something miles to the northwest, right at the Kansas border. And I mean, it is right at the Kansas border. We'll zoom in on it. Okay, we're maybe down one county road from the border. All right, and that is the largest earthquake of the bunch so far today. You can expect more. There's going to be more. Why? Once a 5.0 happens, it can be enough to shake up the entire northern region or the region around where the 5.0 strikes. In this case, it struck north central Oklahoma. So the whole area around north central Oklahoma going up into Kansas was moved, obviously, by the 5. It causes cracks in casements of other wells. Take a look at the progression. See this? Okay, we can go from the 2.0 to the 3.3 to the 4.0. They almost connect. You can connect the dots between our zones that are moving. Well, once a 5.0 happens, that's enough to shake up all the nearby wells, crack the upper casements, and cause other additional earthquakes within days across several hundred miles in this case. So that's amazing. Secondly, out here on the west coast, 3.6 struck, which some stations report as a 4. Yeah, let's go open one of these up here and show you guys. Hopefully you guys will be able to see all this. Yeah, all right. Let's go over to origin. We'll click on magnitudes, see what we've got on our magnitude detail list. Now you'll see here 3.2, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.9. Smaller earthquakes weighing in on that, dragging us down. Then a 5.4. Keep going down the list. Mid 3s, upper 3s, upper 3s, upper 3s, upper 3s. This is what I call their mid-range low-ball list, by the way. I've called it that in many other videos. You guys know that. So this is actually them low-balling it. Here's 4.4. Okay, keep going down the list. 3s, 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 2s. Throwing in a soft again. Taking us down with the 2s. Then we get back up into 3s, 3.9. Okay, now that's on what I call their mid-range low-ball list. Let's see if they even have the magnitude information available for the one they use. Yeah, they sure do. Okay, so you'll see 4, 3.7. Again, mid-range 3s. Again, upper 3s. Go down, down, down. Again, mid-range to upper 3s. Okay, do we have any other magnitudes on here? Nope. That's what we've got. So, that being said, a near 4 struck right over here in California. Well, a near 4 struck there, then a 4 followed in the Midwest. Anybody shocked? Whether or not they go with, this is the low ball on it, guys. This is their low ball, 3.6. So, really, a 4. Let's call it a 4 or a 3.9. Struck out here on the West Coast, followed by a 4, which will probably downgrade to a 3.9 in the Midwest. Back to back. As I told you, it always happens. It'll happen back to back. So everybody contacted me just about, 30 minutes ago, 45 minutes ago, an hour. Said, Dutch, what's going on the West Coast? 3.6 struck. Well, we should call it a 4. That's what we should call it. Secondly, it was followed by a 4 in the Midwest. Again, super fracturing out. Pressure introduced. Boom, new earthquake hits immediately. Yeah, pretty wild, huh? Now, how about these deep earthquakes? You guys have seen these rotating around the globe. This is just today. Look at the last week. All the earthquakes raised high off the globe. The whole Pacific plate has been upwelled. Pressure has come up from down below. And this means we're looking at the potential for larger earthquake activity to develop. And I don't want to scare anybody, but guys, it could go, well, it could go up a whole notch from where we are right now, at least one whole magnitude above our largest of the day, which goes to that 6. It's wild, isn't it? I mean, we're really seeing a lot of deep earthquakes develop out all of a sudden. And of course, we know we got the solar event going on, first of all. Secondly, we've got the issues going on with CERN. And I would like to point out, by the way, over here in Europe, check it out. First of all, the swarm that took place today across Turkey and Greece translated out, I believe, into our 3s that hit in Turkey, or I'm sorry, in central Italy today. Now we have a new swarm that broke out throughout this afternoon that I talked about earlier. Well, it's happening right now. Back in Iran, a 4.4, pushing in. This is going to up the, again, we already knew about this. We talked about it last night, but it's going to up the pressure into South Europe. This is all based upon those 5s I talked about last night. Did 5 strike in India, Uzbekistan, or Siberia, or all 3, or one of the 3? Well, we'll never know. We'll never know. But what we do know today is a new round of pressure all of a sudden came in into South Europe and into Iran out of nowhere. And if a new round of pressure came in, well, we know where it's coming from. It's coming from those 5s yesterday, which, like I said, by tomorrow, we put a 48-hour watch on it. By tomorrow, we should be seeing a 4.6, 1 to 2 days from the point where the deep earthquake occurred in Europe yesterday. Okay, now we have 4s pushing in, which is going to definitely increase. You're going to see this swarm increase in Italy, and it could top out at around, right, pretty much at 4.6. Why 4.6? Yesterday, there was a 2.6 far below Romania, and that can lead to a shallow 3.6 to 4.6. Now, if you add in the other 4.4, is there more than one? A 4.4 and a 3.6 occurred there. Okay, well, if you add that in, that's going to be definitely enough to put us to our mid-range 4 level. So the good news is we're not going to go above. We shouldn't go above 5 right now. We should be okay to be below 5, but above 4.5. So it's a small stretch, 4.5, somewhere in that range, and we have to watch for that by tomorrow. Why tomorrow? Well, the swarm hit in Turkey and Greece today, and a new 4.4 struck back here in Iran. It takes about a day, 124-hour period, for the pressure to transfer from Iran over to Turkey and Greece and up into Italy. After that, it will then progress to the west by northwest from Italy, and we'll see smaller earthquakes again return back to North Europe again. Where in North Europe? Well, we talked about this the other day, again back at the Holland border. Holland, my people, you need to watch. And it's only going to be for smaller earthquake activity. Don't worry. Okay? So, that being said, what we do have to worry about are these deep earthquakes. The deep earthquakes, check it out. On both sides of the Pacific, and if we incorporate what happened a day ago, up in the Northwest Pacific as well. The whole Pacific, except for the United States, has experienced deep earthquakes in the past 2 to 3 days. 2 days. What does that mean? Something is going on down in the core of the planet. Something is pressing up equidistantly, upwards and outwards from the core of the Earth. And what's that causing? Well, unfortunately, that's causing deep earthquakes to strike down below the plates, where the plates meet the area called the asthenosphere. And the asthenosphere is just a complex word created by geologists and seismologists. It's the semi-melted magma down below the plates. So what's going on is there's pressure generating down in the core of the Earth from our electromagnetically charged electrical source plasma energy core that is rotating and oscillating at a high speed and very high temperature, melting all the elements down below. This is then translating up. This heat translates upwards and outwards. And when this increases at the core, the power, that then translates upwards and outwards with heat and pressure, and that's causing, again, deep earthquakes down below the plate. Once that pressure hits the plate, it doesn't just stop there. It actually presses up and spreads out. And that's what's leading to our larger earthquakes. So this many deep earthquakes all around the Pacific, that lets us know we're looking at a possible larger earthquake to develop. And I mean above 7. Wow, wow, wow. So guys, much love. Oh, I just lost my audio. Okay. All right. So, okay, let's try that again. Okay, so much love and keep an eye on the earthquakes. We have deep earthquakes striking all around the Pacific. This is not a good sign. It's a sign that we're looking at larger earthquakes to develop, most likely above 1 to 2 magnitudes above the largest of the deep earthquakes we've seen. Well, we have a deep 5. What is this? A deep, is that exactly at 5? Let's make sure. A deep 5.1. Okay, so a deep 5.1 can cause a shallow 6.1 to 7.1, for instance. And it would normally strike in a nearby silent zone that hasn't been struck yet. Well, if we go to a nearby silent zone to the north, this takes us right back into Ecuador, North Peru, South Colombia. Small little stretch right in here. But if we go to the south, it takes us to the South Sandwich Islands, where there's hardly anybody. Okay, both sides are going to be struck off this deep earthquake. 6.1 to 7.1, struck on both sides. There's a 100% chance of that. Both sides are going to move. Upwelling pressure comes up from down below and it spreads out in both directions, equidistantly. Pressure does not show any bias towards which way on the plate it's going to go when it's coming up from down below. Okay? So, that's what we're looking for based upon this deep 5 down here to the south. But it's not going to stop there. The rest of the plate has already moved as well. This is now, what, 8,000 miles across? 9,000 miles across? It's some huge distance. Where is this measuring from? Let's get an actual measurement on this. We can do a rough measurement. It doesn't have to be exact. Okay, just look where this is in Argentina. So north central Argentina. We're going to measure from north central Argentina, this deep earthquake, all the way up to the other deep earthquake below Japan in the Kuril Islands, Russia, the 4.6. So you can see where that island is there, okay? So this should be pretty interesting. Let's go do this. Let's turn back on our display capture. There we go. There I am in my little bubble. Okay. All right, so we've got our line measurement tool here. And I suppose since we're already over here, we will go right down to north central Argentina and just measure from central north Argentina. It doesn't really matter where we click. We're just going to get a general line measurement here. We're going to go all the way across, and we're going to touch it into the south tip of that island. Okay, we are at roughly, let's just put it at 16,000 kilometers. And in miles, 10,000 miles. And that's, again, as, a direct line, so, following the curvature of the Earth. An area 10,000 miles across is experiencing upwelling pressure. Look between those points. That goes right along the west coast, actually, through Mexico City. Wow, I didn't even realize that. Our halfway point between these two deep earthquakes, actually, believe it or not, guys, is on the west coast, right here along coast of Oregon. How about that? Maybe I should issue a warning for the coast of Oregon for a larger earthquake. Man, look at that. If we bring it due north, this is, again, just a direct point-to-point between the two different deep earthquake locations. What's our halfway point? Well, if it's 10,000 miles, we can bring this down to 5,000 miles, and this should be to 5,100 miles is a halfway point, right? Wow. That puts us in Southern California, Gulf of California. Southern California. Huh. Halfway point, 5,100 miles. Look at that, guys. It goes right across this area right here. Huh. Boy, I don't know. Because I normally follow it as the fault zones go. So if we go as the fault zones, our halfway point would be different. This is just straight point to point. 5,100 miles. It would actually be further, which would put it, if we go by the fault zones, the halfway point would be more like up here. Again, somewhere right up here. Why? Because of the bends in the fault here that go in, and you have to add about that much space. See how this curves inwards here? You would have to add that much space to this line, which would take it from down here, like to up here off the coast of Oregon. Okay, well, it's just a supposition. This is not a forecast. This is just a supposition. This is looking at something point to point. We don't normally see 10,000 miles across move. As a matter of fact, I dare say this is the only time where I've seen this many deep earthquakes around the Pacific at once. We might see them happen in a week's time, but not in a couple days. Which means that there's some kind of upwelling pressure coming up, which is going to cause a larger earthquake in one of our silent zones. One of the silent zones, and at least one of the silent zones. Most likely all of the silent zones will be hit in the next few days off of this new deep movement. And I mean each silent zone will be hit by a noteworthy earthquake above what we've seen over the past couple weeks. So you guys know, we've only seen a few sixes these past few weeks. So if it goes larger than that, you'll know that again, these deep earthquakes are translating out exactly as we'd expect. But it's not just the Pacific. Europe, because there's been this many deep earthquakes, you are going to see new movement over the next several days. Prepare for it. Be ready for it. Don't be caught off guard this time. You're going to see a dramatic increase in the next few days. I'll be doing updates every day. We're going to watch these deep earthquakes here press over to the west, causing larger earthquakes. And once it gets to your doorstep down in Turkey and Greece, you'll only have a few hours to a day's time to really be, ready to go. So watch it now. Watch it now. You won't be caught off guard in the next few days when it gets to you. And when I say few days, I mean normally it's, off this. I shouldn't say normally because this is abnormal, but normally the translation time between a deep earthquake in the West Pacific and activity over in Europe is like 48 to 72 hours. Well, we're already 24 hours into this. We are 24 hours in. Last night I told you about it. I told you tonight we'd be talking about new clusters of earthquakes going across the Mideast, going into South Europe, and 4.0 activity striking in Italy. Well, 4.0 activity hasn't hit yet, but everything else has, which means we're going into a 48-hour watch, which is what I issued, 48 hours, for Italy. And I said by tonight, pressure would be on your doorstep. Well, there it is. It's on your doorstep. Turkey, Greece, Iran. Boom, there it is. Regardless of those fives that didn't get reported last night. So now we know, did the five strike? Well, at least one did. At least one did, either in Siberia, Uzbekistan, or in India. Okay, so that all being said, guys, we had a pretty tremendous amount of activity here in the past, couple days. Couple days has really translated out, especially in the United States. So another 4 just shook you up in Oklahoma. Most likely you were caught off guard. Most likely the people weren't warned. They weren't told to watch out for new movement. How do I know that? My video giving the warning for Oklahoma to see new movement striking after this 5 has only gotten 3,000 views. 3,000. Just proof that the warnings aren't really getting out like we'd like. And so just be aware that's going on. Have a plan. Be prepared. things could be picking up tremendously in the next few days across the Pacific, and that, of course, increases our threat and likelihood of earthquakes on the West Coast. I don't like the fact that that's a halfway point. I don't like the fact that anything in California is a halfway point. That's bad news. Between these 2 points, they are connected. The 2 deep earthquakes on either side of the planet. I mean, take a look at it, right? I'm spinning it. You can see they're on either side of the planet. Not antipodal, but almost. Antipodal is where they're exactly opposite of each other on either side of the planet. So it's not like that, but it is both. Oh, yeah, one other thing I noticed. Pretty much the whole southern hemisphere has moved. Whether it's South America, whether it's down near Australia. Oh, that's something else. There's so much off this, right? These deep earthquakes. Central Australia is going to get hit again in the next couple days. And it'll be larger. It's going to be like a magnitude larger than these deep earthquakes that are here. So, I mean, Central Australia, they'll be like, what's going on? Why is an earthquake striking? Because you have 2 deep earthquakes up to your north that are going to upwell pressure down below the whole plate of Australia. The whole Australian plate right now has pressure coming up underneath it. And it's pretty much equidistantly spaced on both sides. It's like, I hate to use this analogy, but it's like pressing up, like, I don't know, like squeezing on something and it comes out like a toothpaste. Let's use I don't want to use some kind of gross example, but, you know, toothpaste, a thing of toothpaste. You squeeze it from the bottom and out the top comes the toothpaste, right? Well, in this case, we're squeezing from the bottom. We're pushing up from the bottom, and instead of paste coming out, we're talking about an earthquake developing out, most likely at our central fulcrum point of the plate, which is going to be most likely near Uluru, the famous upwelling rocks that could jut out of the ground in central Australia. I don't know. Hope I'm wrong. Hope nothing strikes, but it will be larger than these 4s, which will catch people off guard. Next week, it might take, since the plate's so big and so strong, again, we're talking about solid landmass here, and the pressure is so great, it could take a few days for that to transpire. Now, we just have another 3.7, or did they downgrade it? They downgraded it. Downgraded it to 3.7. Well, now that really fits, because you have a 3.6, 3.7 on the West Coast, so they downgrade both of them, right? Okay, whatever. So 3.6 on the West Coast, 3.7, and a 3.7 in the Midwest. Boom, boom, back and forth. There it is. How far is that? About 1,500 miles across? 1,500 miles apart within a few hours' time or less. There you go. So, other stuff going on. Hope you guys are watching the news, paying attention. Hope you did your part. If you're over on the West Coast, I don't know if your polls are closed or not, but look, guys, I mean, you're going to vote against the New World Order or what? I hope you did. I hope you guys did, because they disenfranchised me out of a vote, and I mean, they literally removed me off the voter registration list. So, hopefully our guy will win. If our guy wins, I'm going to put out my invention to the world. We're gonna release the jet engine to the planet and let it go where it goes. And if he doesn't, then we're gonna not release it, and we're gonna sit on it for 4 years or more. I won't even go there. All right, guys. So much love, much love. Hope you're all doing good, and again, be safe. Have an earthquake plan ready and be prepared. Never hurts to be prepared. Don't be scared. Be prepared. So when I tell you we're going to see an increase in earthquake activity around the Pacific and it's going to get larger, and we talk about our silent zones, well, you now know to watch the silent zones. If you're in Europe, you now know to watch the Mideast going into Greece and Turkey. And that's your warning sign. So watch it. Okay? And, on West Coast, your warning signs, again, are multiple earthquakes striking up and down the coast, striking the volcanoes, striking the pumping operations, and then striking the fault zones. Well, what's been happening over the past couple days on the west coast of the U.S.? I think it's prudent at this point to talk about it, since we're looking for a 5 off the west coast. Right now, all the signs are there. First of all, the whole craton is moving from west coast to east coast. And when I say east coast is moving, we probably should go look up. Here, I'll just go look it up really quick first. Let's go check in our Canada. We'll just see if we've got earthquakes there before I waste your time showing it to you. We have to check NR Canada, which is the Canadian Earthquake Reporting Agency, because the USGS does a very poor job of reporting to us earthquakes on the East Coast. So, do we have anything striking today of any significance on the East Coast? Nothing. Nothing on the East Coast. So, we're completely quiet on the East Coast, according to the USGS and the Canadian agency. That's fine. We're expecting to see movement to strike on the East Coast very soon. Where on the East Coast? Far northeast. Let's just put it near the New York border and southeast Quebec. So it's a very small stretch in there. Magnitude-wise, we're watching for the leftovers off the earthquakes that struck in the Midwest over the past 2 days. Well, we saw a 2.7 at the Illinois border. We just saw 3s and 2s throughout the past couple days in the Midwest. This is going to tally up to a mid-range 3 in the next 48 hours or less. Once that strikes, or at the same time or thereabouts when the earthquake strikes in the Northeast, also we'll see pressure transfer back to the West Coast, and our 5 will transpire within the next 48. So we put a 72-hour watch on it yesterday. Today is day 1. We have 2 more days to go. I believe it's all going to happen within a short amount of time of each other. So East Coast will be struck. Pressure resets to the West Coast. We're primed and ready already. Pressure's there, already distorting the West Coast, causing movement up and down the entire portion from Salton Sea up to Eureka, even causing movement up in Seattle, going up into Canada. Now, I have a custom feed that a viewer provided to me that I'll show you tonight at 10 p.m. in about an hour. And again, guys, pay attention to what's going on the news. We're all watching that. I want to know. I'm going to get up from here and go jump in, go see what's going down. Also, go over to Tat's live stream. Tattooed is my buddy. I'm sure somebody will share a link in here for his stream, which is another place I'm going to go run over to right now. I have made a pledge to my viewers, by the way, that I will be doing whoever wins. If Trump wins, I'm going to get my finest bottle of beer, open it up, and drink it with you and celebrate the defeat of the New World Order. And if she wins, I'm going to get my crappiest beer, chug it in the hopes to dull the pain of a horrible victory of pedophiles, earthquake juice drinkers, and everything else. And if you think I'm exaggerating, boy, oh boy, you don't know what's going on. Have a good evening, morning, afternoon, or night. I'll be back in a little bit. Peace out, much love, keep hope alive, and have a plan. Be prepared, just in case.